Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Anantade Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Anantade. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada Paramam Saparidaj Acharya Stottara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Jai. ISKCON, the Savior of the whole world, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 6, new chapter we're beginning today. The Chapter 6 of the 9th Canto is entitled The Downfall of Saubhari Muni. The summary of the chapter is given by Srila Prabhupada in 2 pages. I'll just read the summary. After describing the descendants of Maharaj Ambarisha, Shukadev Goswami described all the kings from Shashada to Mandhata. And in this connection, he also described how the great sage Saubhari married the daughters of Mandhata. Maharaj Ambarisha had 3 sons named Virupa, Ketuman and Shambhu. The son of Virupa was Prushadashva and his son was Rathitara. Rathitara had no sons, but when he requested the favor of the great sage Angira, the sage begot several sons in the womb of Rathitara's wife. When the sons were born, they became the dynasty of Angira Rishi and of Rathitara. The son of Manu was Ikshvaku, who had 100 sons, of whom Vikukshi, Nimi and Dandaka were the eldest. The sons of Maharaj Ikshvaku became kings of different parts of the world. Because of violating sacrificial rules and regulations, one of these sons, Vikukshi, was banished from the kingdom. By the mercy of Vasishtha and the power of mystic yoga, Maharaj Ikshvaku attained liberation after giving up his material body. When Maharaj Ikshvaku expired, his son Vikukshi returned and took charge of the kingdom. He performed various types of sacrifices, and thus he pleased the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Vikukshi later became celebrated as Shashada. Vikukshi's son fought with the demons for the sake of the demigods, and because of his valuable service, he became famous as Puranjaya, Indravaha, and Kakustha. The son of Puranjaya was Anena. The son of Anena was Pruthu. The son of Pruthu was Vishwagandhi. The son of Vishwagandhi was Chandra. The son of Chandra was Yuvanashva. And his son was Shravasta, who constructed Shravastipuri. The son of Shravasta was Brihadashva. Brihadashva's son Kuvalayashva killed a demon named Dundu, and thus he became celebrated as Dundumara, the killer of Dundu. The sons of the killer of Dundu were Dridashva, Kapilashva, and Bhadrashva. He also had thousands of other sons, but they burned to ashes in the fire emanating from Dundu. The son of Dridashva was Haryashva. The son of Haryashva was Nikumbha. The son of Nikumbha was Bahulashva. And the son of Bahulashva was Krishashva. The son of Krishashva was Senajit, and his son was Yuvanashva. Yuvanashva married 100 wives, but he had no sons, and therefore he entered the forest. In the forest, the sages performed a sacrifice known as Indra Yajna on his behalf. Once, however, the king became so thirsty in the forest that he drank the water kept for performing yajna. Consequently, after some time, his son came forth from the right side of his abdomen. The son, who was very beautiful, was crying to drink breast milk, and Indra gave the child his index finger to suck. Thus the son became known as Mandhata. In due course of time, Yuvanashva achieved the perfection by performing austerities. Thereafter, Mandhata became the emperor and ruled the earth, which consists of 7 islands. Thieves and rogues were very much afraid of this powerful king, and therefore the king was known as Trasadasyu, meaning one who is very fearful to rogues and thieves. Mandhata begot sons in the womb of his wife Bindumati. These sons were Purukutsa, Ambarisha, and Muchukunda. These 3 sons had 50 sisters, all of whom became wives of the great sage known as Saubhari. In this connection, Shukadeva Goswami described the history of Saubhari Muni, who, because of sensual agitation caused by fish, fell from his yoga and wanted to marry all the daughters of Mandhata for sexual pleasure. Later, Saubhari Muni became very regretful. Thus he accepted the order of Vanaprastha, performed very severe austerities, and thus attained perfection. In this regard, Shukadeva Goswami described how Saubhari Muni's wives also became perfect. That's the end of the summary of the 6th chapter. Text number 1. Shri Shuka Vacha Virupaha Ketuman Shambhu Virupak Ketuman Shambhor Ambarisha Sutastrayah Ambarisha Sutastrayah Virupat Prishadashvo Abhut Virupat Prishadashvo Bhut Tatputrastu Rathitaraha Tatputrastu Rathitaraha. Shri Shuka Vacha Virupak Ketuman Shambhor Ambarisha Sutastrayaha Virupat Prushadashvobhut Tatputrastu Rathitaraha. Shri Shuka Uvacha Virupaketuman Chambor Ambarisha Sutastrayaha Virupat Prushadashvo Bhut Tatputrastu Rathitaraha. Shri Shuka Uvacha Virupaketuman Chambor Ambarisha Sutastrayaha Virupat Prushadashvo Bhut Tatputrastu Rathitaraha. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, Virupaha, by the name Virupa, Ketuman, by the name Ketuman, Shambhu, by the name Shambhu, Ambarisha, of Ambarish Maharaj, Sutaha Trayaha, the three sons, Virupat, from Virupa, Prishadashvaha, of the name Prishadashva, Abhut, there was, Tatputraha, his son, two, and Rathitaraha, of the name Rathitara. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Shukadev Goswami said, O Maharaj Parikshit, Ambarisha had three sons named Virupa, Ketuman, and Shambhu. From Virupa came a son named Prishadashva, and from Prishadashva came a son named Rathitara. I'll read the next few verses. Text 2. Rathitarasya aprajasya bharyayam tantave arthitaha angira janayamasa brahmavarchasvinas sutan. Translation. Rathitara had no sons and therefore he requested the great sage Angira to beget sons for him. Because of this request, Angira begot sons in the womb of Rathitara's wife. All these sons were born with Brahminical prowess. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the Vedic age, a man was sometimes called upon to beget sons in the womb of a lesser man's wife for the sake of better progeny. In such an instance, the woman is compared to an agricultural field. A person possessing an agricultural field may employ another person to produce food grains from it, but because the grains are produced from the land, they are considered the property of the owner of the land. Similarly, a woman was sometimes allowed to be impregnated by someone other than her husband, but the sons born of her would then become her husband's sons. Such sons were called Kshetra Jata. Because Rathitara had no sons, he took advantage of this method. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachare Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are beginning a new chapter in this 9th canto. This 9th canto contains list of names of the dynasties of different kings, and it is noteworthy that Shukadeva Goswami is sitting and speaking continuously all the names of these kings of a particular dynasty. So it is not just the memory power, which is of course very commendable, that such wonderful memory he heard from his father. Shukadeva Goswami heard from Vyasadeva once the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then he narrated that Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So what we are reading now is what was narrated by Shukadeva Goswami. Sri Shuka Vacha. How is he able to remember all these names? So one explanation that can be given is that formerly, when a student hears from the teacher, a disciple hears from the guru just once with full attention, he commits to memory immediately and he'll never forget what he has heard. Such hearing is very, very, very effective. Such hearing results in realization of the subject matter. It is not just committing to memory for the sake of memorizing. No. That's a secondary thing. The more important aspect of hearing attentively is to understand the subject matter and realize. So later on in the Bhagavatam it is described that Shukadeva Goswami, simply by speaking the Bhagavatam, he attained the ultimate perfection of Krishna consciousness. Because Shukadeva Goswami was a self-realized soul by birth itself, but he was having only impersonal Brahman realization. He was not having the realization of the personal feature of the absolute truth. But when he heard the Bhagavatam from his father, he became Bhagavan realized, completely, fully God realized. And with realization, he spoke to Parikshit Maharaj. He was not merely repeating, because Parikshit Maharaj was asking questions from Shukadev Goswami. And Shukadev Goswami was replying to the questions of Parikshit very precisely. And the conversation went on for 7 days continuously. So, this indicates that the subject matter was presented in a very interesting manner in terms of questions being asked and answers being given. We read in the beginning of this 9th canto that Parikshit Maharaj inquired from Shukadev Goswami, kindly describe the descendants of this Manu, Vaivasvata Manu. I have heard they are all great devotees. So, because Parikshit was very eager to hear about the lives of devotees, therefore Shukadev Goswami is describing these dynasties. Otherwise, what have we got to do with all these names? Several thousands or millions of years later, what benefit do we get by hearing the names of different kings? It is explained by Shukadev Goswami himself that these names are names of great devotees. Simply by hearing or chanting their names, we become purified. We ourselves become devotees. You see? So that's why these names are being mentioned here. Then the description is given beginning with Ambarisha's 3 sons. It was described earlier that Ambarish Maharaj handed over charge of ruling the kingdom to his 3 sons. And he went away to the forest. Even though he was engaged fully in pure devotional service, even as a householder. But still, to free himself from other duties and exclusively concentrate his attention for meditation on the Supreme Lord, Ambarish Maharaj handed over charge of ruling to his 3 sons and went away. So who are those 3 sons? That is being mentioned here. Virupaha, Ketuman, Shambhuhu, Ambarisha, Sutastrayaha. Previously, the names were not mentioned by Shukadev Goswami. It is just said, he divided his property among his sons, and he himself took the order of Vanaprastha, went to the forest to concentrate his mind fully upon Lord Vasudeva. So here the details are being given. He had 3 sons, whose names are mentioned here, Virupa, Ketuman, and Shambhu. And Virupa's son was Prushadashva. Prushadashva's son was Rathitara. Rathitara had no sons. Now, why is this important that the king should have at least 1 son? So that he hands over charge of ruling to his qualified son and he himself retires from householder duties and prepares himself for self-realization. That was very, very standard, at least among the kings. Among the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, it was very clear that they would strive to follow all the duties prescribed in the Varnashrama Dharma, and at the end of life they would give up their responsibilities to their sons, and they themselves would completely concentrate on self-realization, which is the goal of human life. And that's what Varnashrama system prepares a person for. Varnashrama charavata purushena parapuman vishnuraradhyate. So the goal of this Varnashrama is worship of Vishnu, so that one may become completely self-realized, completely God-realized. So this Rathitara had no sons, and therefore he requested the great sage Angira to beget sons for him. This was permitted in an earlier age, that one who has no sons may request another great person to beget children for him in the womb of his own wife. So this is not illicit sex. This is because the people were highly controlled. Life which is used, religious principles, is a representation of Krishna. So bringing forth good progeny is the way of giving an opportunity for a soul who is entangled in this material world to become disentangled and go back to Godhead. That is a whole program in this material world. So when a person is unable to beget sons in the womb of his own wife, then he would request some other great personality to beget children. Now, children begotten in this way will be considered the sons of the husband of that woman. This is noteworthy, that the sons born of her, who actually is impregnated, would then become her husband's sons. So Rathitara could not beget children in his wife. So he requested Angira Rishi to beget children in his wife. So then Angira impregnated Rathitara's wife, and the children thus born became sons of Rathitara. So that the dynasty continues. Dynasty continues. And there are proper kings to take charge of ruling after Rathitara retires. Then his sons, who are begotten in this way, are actually qualified to rule the kingdom, taking charge of ruling the kingdom from their father. In the Mahabharata, there is description that one of the descendants of the Kuru dynasty by name Vichitravirya, he had 2 wives, but before he could beget children through his wives, he died, and there were no children to succeed Vichitravirya. Then Vichitravirya's mother, Satyavati, she called upon Vyasadeva. Satyavati begot Vyasadeva before her marriage to King Shantanu. So Vyasadeva is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord who appeared for the sake of compiling the Vedic literature. So since Satyavati begot Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva was the incarnation of the Lord meant for a different purpose. So after taking birth, he went away to the forest to perform tapasya. Just like Shukadeva Goswami, after Vyasadeva begot Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami left home immediately after birth and went away. So such personalities are extraordinary personalities who are not taking birth exactly by force of karma. They are personalities who appear for specific higher purpose. So Vyasa was born as the son of Satyavati and Parashara Muni for the sake of compiling the Vedic literature, especially for people of Kali Yuga. So he appeared just before Kali Yuga began, end of Dwapar Yuga. So Vyasadeva, before going away, he instructed Satyavati that whenever you have any difficulty, you just think of me and I will appear and I will give you remedy for your problem. I'll solve your problem. Because extraordinary son, Satyavati is having extraordinary son. The Supreme Lord has appeared as her son. So, when this situation arose that Satyavati's son through Shantanu, Vichitravirya, he died untimely without begetting children in his wives. So then Satyavati remembered Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva can remedy this situation. So she just thought of Vyasadeva. Immediately Vyasadeva appeared. Yes, what can I do for you? So then she explained that the Kuru dynasty, there is no descendant to take charge of ruling the kingdom. Kingdom means the whole world, the entire earth planet. So then Vyasadeva, on the request of Satyavati, he begot children for Vichitravirya in the wives of Vichitravirya. So, those 3 sons were born. One was Dhritarashtra, other was Pandu, and third one was Vidura. All the three were exceptionally qualified because they are born of the semen of Vyasadeva. So they are all exceptionally qualified. But they are not known as the sons of Vyasa, they are known as the sons of Vichitravirya. They are known as the sons of Vichitravirya. Of course, Vichitravirya is not there. They are called posthumous children. After the death, they are taking birth. So this system was prevalent, but it is forbidden in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, it is forbidden. Why? Because in Kali Yuga, people in general are not able to restrain their senses and abstain from sense gratification. So in Kali Yuga, it is 5 things are forbidden in Kali Yuga. Kalau pancha vivarjayet. Ashwamedham, Gabalambham, Sanyasam, Palapaitrikam, Devarena Sutotpatti, Kalau Pancha Vivarjayet. So 5 things that are forbidden in Kali Yuga, which was prevalent in the former ages, former yugas. First one is Ashwamedha Yajna, performing a horse sacrifice. This is forbidden in Kali Yuga. Why? Because in Kali Yuga there are no Brahmanas who can revive the sacrificed animal. So horse sacrifice is forbidden. Gavalambham, cow sacrifice, that is also forbidden in Kali Yuga. Because again, there are no qualified Brahmanas. Animal was killed in the sacrifice, but it was revived after being offered in the sacrifice, the flesh being offered in the sacrifice. The animal was revived, the soul would get a new birth. So therefore, this horse sacrifice, cow sacrifice, then sannyasa. Sannyasa means the householder belonging to Brahmana, Kshatriya and Vaishya Varnas, they should retire from householder duties and accept renunciation for the sake of fully concentrating their mind on God realization, preparing themselves to go back to Godhead. So that is forbidden in Kali Yuga because people are unable to properly follow the rules and regulations for detaching themselves from all householder duties and exclusively dedicating themselves for self-realization. So in Kali Yuga, the method of self-realization is not by, for the general people, is not by renunciation of householder duties. That is not the recommended method. For people in general, in Kali Yuga, the method is sthane sthita shrutigatam tanuvan manobhi. To remain in one's own position, especially those who are householders, remain in your situation, but engage in hearing and chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord from the mouths of devotees. So Sankirtana Yajna is what is recommended in Kali Yuga, and the Sankirtana Yajna does not require that a person renounce householder duties. It does not require it. Sannyasam, the third item that is forbidden in Kali Yuga. And Palapaitrikam, offering of flesh to forefathers in a sacrifice. Offering of flesh in sacrifice is forbidden. Again, for the same reason that Brahmanas cannot revive a dead animal. That's the reason even offering flesh in sacrifice is forbidden. Palapaitrikam. Devarena Sutotpati. The fifth one is begetting children in one's own wife through somebody else. Devar, of course, means one's own brother. But in general, begetting children through somebody else, impregnating one's own wife, that is forbidden in Kali Yuga. So, in a former age, in former ages, this was very much prevalent, that if somebody does not have children, then in order to beget children, they will request somebody else to do so. And that's what Rathitara did. And he begot sons who would continue the dynasty of Rathitara. So that is being explained in this second verse. We'll stop here. Rantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.